Hey there. So you remember Angel and Sylvester. They're pretty much amazing, right?
Correct.
Now, as you can clearly tell, they called me about an hour ago, and they're like, hey, we got a minute. Can we put that metal roof on? And I was like this. Yes. And then they were like, awesome! So they did it, just like that, like magic. Because you guys are magical, right?
We're fast.
Now, I heard that you guarantee fast service no matter how long it takes. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
That is exactly right.
So have you noticed, is that an important thing?
No.
Okay. Have you noticed that more and more imports are coming from overseas now?
No.
No, that's true. More and more imports are coming from overseas.
Well, they're imports.
Oh, yeah.
Where are they imports?
That makes more sense now. So maybe I can stump you with something. How do you fix a pumpkin?
How do you fix it?
Throw them in a pumpkin pie.
Close. You want to take another guess? I'm going to give you a chance. You're very popular.
Throw them in a pumpkin patch.
Oh, you give it a pumpkin patch.
All right.
Give it a pumpkin patch. That's how you do it. Do you have any advice for people that want to get a black metal roof in the summertime in Texas?
Don't get it. Get a white one.
I'm working for GE. I get a call for dryer not heating. I go to the house, I knock on the door, and the guy opens the door and goes, I'm an electrical engineer. And I said, well, where's your laundry room? And he goes, oh, it's not in the laundry room, it's in my living room. And I thought, well, that's strange. And he walks me in the living room, and the dryer is on the floor, disassembled. Every single screw, the wiring harness, there wasn't one piece that was still connected to that dryer. It was all laid out in order on the floor. And I said, sir, it's going to cost you more money for me to just put that thing back together so I can tell you what's wrong with it than it would to go buy a brand new one. And on the way out the door, I said, and by the way, all you needed was a heat element. And he goes, how do you know that? And I said, it's burnt in half.
Geniuses everywhere. Geniuses everywhere. Alan's got COVID. Oh, hey there. So this is kind of interesting. This is our main breaker box here. I learned some things today. Now, first of all, we're going with a wireless system on the power, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but you see there's no breakers and there's no wires, and then everywhere that there's like outlets and stuff, and then lights, we just don't have any wires to any of it. So it's a wireless system. It's very inefficient. None of it works. But if you're really thinking, can I have something that doesn't work? You can try the wireless system. We'll probably go ahead and connect wires to it just because I'm weird like that. Now I learned something. We were hooking up this power, my electrician was, and it's not energized yet. But I found out that it's code, and this is interesting. Alan, you told me this. It's code to actually, when you're turning the Allen wrench, by the way, I love your wrenches. It's code to say righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and if you don't, then you'll get a red tag. And so we definitely don't want to get any red tags. So, and in real life, whenever this is energized, do not touch here. Let me show you one more time how this works, right? You got hot power, and then neutral coming in, and we got to get ground rod still. It goes through the main breaker that then brings it to this, right? And you can see that it's like jack-o'-lantern teeth all the way down. And then your breakers pop into that. You got a neutral bar and a ground bar. And yeah, so that's how that works. But don't touch this part, don't touch these parts, and don't touch where the screws come into the, that part right there. That'll get you. You'll definitely feel it. Also, I just want to tell you, if you're thinking, haha, I can get away with something, you're wrong. Whatever you get dishonestly, you will not keep, and it will eat away at your soul like a cancer. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Hello there. All right, so we've got a situation here, and I don't know if you guys have ever been in a situation room, but this is nothing like that. This is a different kind of situation. So the situation is, I've expressed it before, we've got a water tank next door, we've got a fire hydrant across the street, we've got an 1.5-inch line over here supplying water, and the city's not going to give us water because I just want to say for the record, I love the government. Okay, I love them. I think that they're very kind, that they do a great job. I support you. Whatever. Is this your Passat? So look at this. Look at this. Alan, his last name is Passat, and he's been making this Passat. Tell us about your wand, Alan.
My what?
Your wand. What kind of a brush do you use for this? Did it come with your body?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a.
It's got a pressure release valve. So yeah, it's his Passat. Think about that. I might be putting the incorrect.
There's 3 more arcs around the corner.
Alan's got a UTI. All right, so that's not true. All right, so anyway, we don't have water, and it's very hard to test our water lines if we don't have water, right? We're getting a rainwater system. We're excited about it, as excited as a person can be, that you have to spend $35,000 instead of $1,500. But nevertheless, here's our water coming into the house, right? And so what we did is we got this pressure regulator, and it's got like a, I don't know if you guys have ever seen a tire. Do you guys have tires on your vehicles? Anyway, and you just fill that up, and so we've got it under pressure with the air compressor, and we filled it up all the way, and it's holding. So at first we were having a problem, and that's because the valve was open, and so we were, filling it up, and it was just like a 0, and we're like, maybe we're not the smartest people in the world. But then we closed the valves and have holding pressure, so that means we're good. We don't have any leaks, and that's wonderful. So we're going to finish up. We're going to put actual wires in the house rather than going with the wireless system we talked about. And then we're going to get everything stitched up, and then we're going to do spray foam installation. So we're pretty excited about that, right, Alan?
I'm really excited.
Look how excited he is. Look at him. Look at that smile. That's a beautiful smile. Now, a lot of people have been commenting on Alan and his videos. He's an amazing person, and I'm just glad I got to introduce you. Everywhere he goes now, he's like, "Oh, you're famous. You're that Alan guy," and he's like, "Yep, I am." He signs autographs. I saw him sign some chests on some men. It's a true story. So we were at Home Depot today, and how did this come up? It was there's a Mennonite. Sorry, there's a woman, and we're like, "Oh, is she Amish?" And I said, "I think she's actually Mennonite." And he goes, "Did you say they're men at night? I thought they were into obeying the Bible and stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, that's not what I said, but it is hilarious." So, Alan is also hilarious, and you should know that about him. Look at how funny he is. He's hilarious and smart. I'm neither of those things. I'm unhilarious and unsmart, whatever those words are. All right, love you guys. See you tomorrow. Well, my IQ test came back negative, so that's one less thing I got to worry about. All right, so a lot of you probably sit around thinking things like this. Why do they call it a ground on the wiring, right? Allow me to demonstrate. You see this ground rod right here? It's taller than me. I would call that 8 feet tall. We got to slam that down that deep using this tool right here. You just get it and slam it. Makes a lot of noise, so I'm not going to show you. But we got to put 2 of them in there because sometimes your ground gets so dry and cracked that it doesn't even touch the sides, and you don't have a proper ground. That's bad. So I assume that you guys probably think a lot like I do, and there are things that trouble me, right? Like, do girl giraffes have Adam's apples? I don't know. Think about it. So here's another thing I'm thinking about. Maybe, and I know I'm gonna get some hate on this, we make abortion legal for wasps and what are some other creatures I don't really like that much? Maybe like poisonous, venomous creatures. Make it, and then they just kill themselves off, right? Like, you just let them, and they can fight for it. They can all be mad, like, I want to be able to kill my babies. And so then we let them do it, and we're like, oh yeah, kill yourselves. That's better. Then we don't have to. And we're not gonna get stung or whatever. So that's something I think about. Drew, you ever think about that? No? You don't want to be lynched? Probably a smart move to not think about stuff like that. Whew. We got a cold front come through here. It's just under 100 degrees. It is nice. Like, that's not bad. This reminds me of the time that I was gonna go to Antarctica, but then I didn't. This reminds me of that because it's still hot. Anyway, we decided not to do a wireless house. I took it under advisement. A lot of people said, John, that's not gonna work. And usually I'm like, I know better than you. You can't tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me. You're not my real dad. But enough people said it that I was like, huh, okay. So we put wires in. Take a quick pan around, you can see some wires. That's enough. Don't do too much looking. It's ridiculous. All right, you guys wanna hear a story? What story you wanna hear? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. All right, that's a good one. Okay, so Israel was captured. And here's what happens when people capture a country, okay? They get the smartest, best people, and they integrate young people, and they integrate them in. They train them up with their schools, and they put them in the best places, and then they're like, we want the smartness of your country mixed in with the loyalty to our country, okay? So these 3 young men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, were brought in, and quickly they were like, you're gonna eat the king's food. And they're like, well, funny story, we can't eat that because first of all, it's pork, and secondly, it's been sacrificed to idols, and so thank you, but no thank you. And they're like, ooh, we're so angry right now. They're like, you have to eat the king's food, otherwise you won't be healthy. And they're like, do a test on us. We'll eat vegetables and stuff we normally eat, and you guys eat all the king's food, and you eat all the meat and whatever, and you'll see if we look sickly after 2 weeks, then we'll eat the king's food. And they're like, all right, suckers, we'll do your stupid bet. And they did, and guess what? They were healthier than everybody else. And they're like, we'll allow it. We'll let you guys eat what you want. So they did. Time passed, okay? The king decided that he wanted to erect a very large statue of himself made out of gold. Very, very large, right? And then he was going to have all the best bands come. He was going to have Metallica and AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, and yeah, I guess other Nelly maybe, or I don't know, Lil Jon. All the people. They were going to come out and they were going to play, okay? These are not their real names. They were changed for the story, okay? So all the musicians were going to play, and then they were going to give a sign, and everybody in the country that was gathered there had to bow down and worship this statue of the king. And if not, they would die. Of course, these 3 young men were like, we can't worship idols because we worship the one true God. So when it came time, the AC/DC played, they hit the right note, everybody's like, this is our cue. They all bowed down to worship this statue of Nebuchadnezzar. And you know what happened? Everybody went to the ground except for 3 young men who stood there, and they're like, we can't worship this thing. And the king's like, I like you guys, just, you don't have to mean it, just pretend. Like, just get down there and just pretend. I don't even care, like, obviously it's not real, so just like, please, I don't want to have to kill you. And they're like, we can't do it. And he said, please, just, I don't want to have to kill you. Just please bow down and worship the statue like everybody else. Like, I know that you're different, but just please, just do it. And they're like, we can't. So then he starts getting mad because he's making him look stupid, right? They're making him look stupid. So he gets really mad. And he's like, ooh, I'm going to put you in the fire. In fact, I'm going to make the fire 7 times hotter. Everybody, put more wood in the fire and stuff. Make it hotter. And he's like, now you want to bow down or you want to jump in the fire there? And they're like, if you put us in the fire, and this is what they said, if you put us in the fire, God will deliver us because he can and he will. But know this, O king, that even if he doesn't deliver us, we will never bow down to your statue. We will never bow down to any other idols because our God does not allow it. So he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to show you how it is. And then he has them thrown into the fire. Now the fire is so hot at this point that the guards throwing them into the fire, they die. Okay, they die because it's so hot. They're like, and they die. And they throw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into this fire. And the king's very like, he's bummed. It was like a bittersweet, you know what I'm saying? Like, I hate being bipolar. It's awesome. And so he's like, he's happy because he showed them, but he's sad because, you know, like, he liked them. Some time passes. And somebody looks down and they go, weren't there 3 men we threw in the fire? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, well, I see 4 men down in the fire, and one of them looks like a son of God. And he's like, what? And he looks down, and they are walking around inside this furnace. And so he goes down to the door and has the door opened up and says, come out. So they do. They're not burned. Their skin's not burned. Their clothes aren't burned. No hairs on their heads are singed. In fact, they don't even have the smell of smoke on them. And he's like, how did you do that? He's like, never mind, don't tell me. And he turns around to the people and he goes, we're all going to worship the God of these 3 because that God is real. So what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is, just because everybody else is doing the wrong thing doesn't mean you have to do the wrong thing. You can stand up and do the right thing even if nobody else will, and God will deliver you. And even if he doesn't, know this, O king, I will not bow down to you. Have a wonderful day. I was kidnapped by a group of mimes. They did unspeakable acts to me. All right, so if you're wondering about my skin condition, it's called work. It's got sawdust on it and stuff because it's a rare skin condition. A lot of people don't work, especially since the pandemic. So you might think he's probably cutting these holes so that an electrician can put lights in, but that's incorrect. I'm making cool Frisbees, so if you need any Frisbees for yourself or maybe for your children or something like that, just watch how this thing flies. Oh, now that is nice. Don't be on the receiving end of that. That's gonna end up badly for you. All right, so if you're anything like me, you like to learn from mistakes of others that they got from taking your bad advice. So for example, I told somebody, you can eat Taco Bell and trust a fart. 17 minutes later, they said to me, and I quote, "Who crapped in my pants?" Well, it's not as clean as I'd like it to be, but I've got a show tonight, so. Wiring and plumbing are done. Thank you to my plumber and my electrician for coming out here and working diligently. They already left, so you can't see them, but they do great work. Right, Drew?
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Okay, I want to tell you guys a quick story. This story is about Joshua. Now, here's what happened. Moses led all the people out of Egypt. I'm sure you remember the story. Hey, let my people go. And the Pharaoh's like, no, 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 no. There's 10 plagues. Finally lets them go. They change his mind. Then they part the Red Sea. They get out to the desert. They escape all of Pharaoh because they all drown in the water. Time passes. They march across the desert. It's not all that far in reality, okay? Then Moses sends out some spies into what is now Israel and says, go check it out, see what we're about to go conquer. This is the promised land that God promised to us. So he sends out 12 people. They come back, they go, this is a land flowing with milk and honey. The grapes are huge, all the fruit is big, it's lush land, it's beautiful land, and it's amazing. And 10 of them said, but it's inhabited by giants, and we will not beat them. So we should stay here in the desert or go back to Egypt. And 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, were like, are you kidding me? God's on our side. It doesn't matter. He just parted the Red Sea. Like, he just did all these miracles. Like, he can do more miracles for us. We trust him. The 10 outnumbered the 2. And the people went, well, we're scared, and so we're not going to go. And all the people said, you know, we listened to the 10, not the 2, and so we're gonna not go in there. We're not going to take the land because we don't have faith. They didn't say it like that, but that's what they meant, is we don't have faith. And so here's what happened. God said, okay. And he waited 40 years. They wandered around the desert for 40 years until what happened? Till all those people died. All the 10 spies and all the people that agreed with them all died. And Joshua and Caleb were left, and anybody else who had some faith was left. At this point, Moses dies, okay? And Moses was their leader, in case you hadn't figured that out. And now Joshua is the new leader. And God says to him, be strong and courageous, for I'm with you. He says it again and again and again and again, be strong and courageous. The truth is, he's already been strong and courageous. But God's reminding him, be strong and courageous still. You've got more battles to fight. So then, when Joshua is announced the leader, he says this, look at me. I am 80 years old, and I'm still like a young man. I'm still strong, and I still run out here, and I'm going to go into battle, and I'm going to lead this nation. I'm going to lead this nation, and we're going to fight these giants, and we're going to win because God's on our side. And he did. He went, and God did miracles through him and around him. And I think the moral of the story is, first, have some faith. I don't care what the giants are in front of you. And secondly, even if you're older, don't be like, well, you know, I'm past my prime, so I'm over 18, so I guess now I got nothing I can do with the rest of my life. Wrong. He said, I am 80 years old, and look at me, I'm just like a young man. I'm strong, and I can fight, and I'm going to. And then he did, and he conquered the whole nation of Israel for them. So be strong and courageous. It matters. All right, love you. So I'd like to thank whoever invented the flathead screwdriver. What a wonderful invention. While I'm at it, I'd also like to thank the caveman who invented the rock hammer. And what other archaic things? I would like to thank whoever invented the abacus. Thank you guys for your invention. I think it's time to retire this one. Along with the rock hammer and the abacus, we have calculators on our phones now, so thank you, abacus maker. We have real hammers, so thank you, rock prehistoric man. And I don't know if you know this, but there's Phillips screws and there's star bits. There's all kinds of screws that aren't stupid. So if you work in a factory that makes flathead screws, I encourage you, I implore you, go to the Abacus Clockout Center, do whatever mechanism you have to clock out and let your boss know you're done working there forever. I don't know if they give you a pink slip or whatever. Find some grenades or some heavy explosives. Make sure everybody's safe. Exit the building, blow it up. There's a Phillips screwdriver factory that's hiring somewhere. I think that there's also a pretty good business idea for those of you that are into good business ideas. Renting screwdrivers. Okay, check it out. Now, this screwdriver, brand new, I think is $3.98. Now, this is a pretty neat one because it's a 6-in-1, right? So you got Phillips and flathead and a 1/4-inch bit, and these are all P1, smaller, and then it's a P2 bit, and that's flathead and everything. So you could buy this for $3.98, or you could rent it for $5 a week. Now think about the possibilities. If you bought it for $3.98 and you rented it one time to some fool, you'd be so far ahead. Think of the business possibilities. Come inside. This is tremendous. Let me give full credit to Drew. Show yourself, Drew. He's not gonna. But you see how beautiful this is and how clean this is? That's 100% on Drew. While I was sitting here thinking, what dumb thing should I talk about? Flathead screwdriver. He's over here sweeping and cleaning and polishing. It's beautiful. So what's gonna happen is we're gonna put Tyvek all over this floor to protect it because this is gonna be a stained concrete floor. And then when they do the spray foam, we don't want it all falling on the ground. And when they do sheetrock, tape, bed texture paint, all that, we don't want it all falling on the ground. So we're gonna Tyvek that. I hope you guys, if you work at the Flathead Screwdriver Factory, I hope you guys quit and destroy it on the way out, right? Like scorched earth. Leave nothing. We don't need this anymore. We're done with it. Now I know you're sitting there thinking, John, I'm not an addict. Oh yeah? When's the last time you were sober for a month? Or for a week? Or for a day? I'm just saying. Oh, I know you're not an addict, you just like doing it a lot. Try going without just to see if you really are an addict. Just saying. So, we got Tyvek down on the floor. I've already discussed what this means. It's so stuff doesn't fall on the floor and ruin it, because we're gonna have stained concrete on this. It's beautiful. We're so ready for Billy Feaster to come in and do his magic, because he's very magical. His magic involves a lot of hard work and a lot of skill and knowledge, things I don't possess. Anyway, I know a lot of people that are not content, and therefore they're not happy. They have unrealistic expectations about what the world should be and about how their life should be. And I think that's because we believe lies, okay? To some degree, you have to believe lies if you are unhappy. Let me tell you why. I know you're thinking, life makes me unhappy, this bad thing happened and that made me unhappy. Is that really true? Or is it that you have a misconception that life should be really good for you and very easy, and then when it's not, then you're upset about it? Because I got news for you. Life's not really easy. I'm sorry that you had to hear it like that, but it's true. Life's not easy. And in this life, we're gonna have troubles, and we're gonna have pain, and we're gonna have sorrows, and things are gonna go badly. And not only are they gonna go badly, but we are gonna be betrayed by people that we love and people that love us. And that's part of it, and it sucks, but we live in a fallen world. So, if you expect less out of the world, and instead you think, what can I do to make my world a better place? Rather than somebody else needs to come and fix me, somebody else needs to come and help me, you think, how can I go and help somebody else? How can I go fix something else? Then I think that you turn that whole perspective around, and all of a sudden, you become happier, because when you help other people, you end up helping yourself, and you end up happier. And I just think that that's a good place to be. Now, I do have one last question for you guys, and this really troubles me a lot, okay? Because I spend a lot of time thinking about stuff. I don't sleep much. And, you know, there are different things that decompose at different rates. Obviously, like food is going to decompose quite quickly. Plastic, less quickly. Diapers, I think they're going to last till the second apocalypse or something like that. But when you leave water at the landfill, how long does it take for that to decompose? Think about that while you're thinking about how you can help some other people. Who have you shown that you love today? Not just told them, not just walked out the door and said, oh yeah, I love you too. But what opportunities did you have today where you're like, I showed somebody that I love them? If you haven't done that yet, do it. You'll be happier. All right, love you guys. Bye. Oh, hey there. So this morning we were on another job and we got the roof on. It was amazing. But then we came out to this house and Billy Feaster got his guys out here and spray foamed it. And look how beautiful this is. It's all, I don't know if you can tell, but it feels so much cooler in here than it does outside. It's probably a 75-degree difference, maybe less. And so this is how they do it. So when there's a wall, they just put plastic over there and they spray it and it puffs out. And then all up in the attic, you can take a look up there, Eric. Boom, you can see it's everywhere. And so this whole house is like one big igloo cooler. And it's all on all the exterior walls and everything. It's truly amazing. So we're very happy about that. Now, here's something I've been thinking about a lot. In Revelation, and those of you that hear Iron Maiden or have ever read the Bible, you know this. In Revelation it says, the devil sends the beast with wrath because he knows that time is short. And then it goes on. It says, let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast. It's because it's a human number, and this number is 666. But the important part is that it says, the devil sends the beast with wrath because he knows that time is short. So he's like, I don't have much time. I've got to wreak as much havoc as I can. And I want hell to be as full as possible. And this is what it's going to take to do. I'm going full out for this. I'm going to like my full fury. I'm not going to rest until I destroy everything I can possibly destroy. And you're like, okay, that's fair. But as Christians, why don't you ever hear, and so they loved with all their heart, and they were kind, and they were generous, and they were, did miracles, and they had faith because they knew that time was short. I don't understand why we don't hear more of that. Like, they realized that they didn't have much time, that they were going to be in heaven soon. Life is short, but eternity is long. Therefore, I want to do things that are amazing, and I want to do things that matter, and I'm going to invest everything I've got into what I really believe. Because I think that we say one thing and we do another, right? That if you really believe that, your behavior would be different. And so if I really believe with all my heart that what I do matters, and that, once we get to the end of this life that we're going to be judged, then I should live my life in a different way. And I think there's a lot of people that, I hate to say this because it sounds like I'm being critical, mostly because I think I'm being critical. But I feel like some people, they say a prayer and they're like, I'm done, and they take a knee and they're like, don't fight with me, I'm not in this game. I got my ticket to heaven, I'm going to do nothing. But Jesus condemns that behavior again and again. Why don't you do something? Do something, and I mean like love proactively and do things proactively and like help people and help orphans and help widows and do things that matter. So what I want to hear more of is they loved with a deep, deep love, and they had charity and compassion and kindness because they knew that time was short. And it is. Time is fading fast. We are closer than we've ever been before. So don't waste that. Love you guys.